Hello, my friends. Live here right now. The Lakers, the Los Angeles Lakers, are about to play the Minnesota Timberwolves. I know this because I'm an NBA fan, but probably more relevant to you guys is Tesla's first quarter earnings call. You would think, based on the headlines, I mean, to be fair, it is pretty bad numbers from Tesla. You would think, based on these numbers, on these headlines from the media, Tesla stock price would have crashed. Now, I actually did expect that. I went and checked, and I went, "Whoa, Tesla stock has gone up by 5.5%. It's pushed back up above 250 US dollars. Why?" I mean, headlines are this: Tesla bloodbath continues. People are saying Tesla's in huge trouble. And to be honest, let's be real, Tesla didn't make that much money considering almost all of their profits in the first quarter came from credits, selling credits to other manufacturers. They made 400 million US dollars selling credits. And that is what helped them to actually make a profit. Without those credits, they would have made only about $100 million, which is a shocking result in comparison to every other Tesla quarter for the last 2 or 3 years. So, why has Tesla stock actually gone up on these results, which would appear to be pretty bad? Well, first of all, let's have a quick look at an overview from someone I follow on Facebook. He's given us a quick update on what is actually going on here. Elon Musk said, number one, he will reduce his time on Doge significantly. I personally think he should cancel it at all. I don't think Doge needs Elon Musk. I think that he would be much better off, and so would Tesla, and so would maybe Americans and their emotional health, if Elon Musk would just drop Doge. If Trump wants to do it, whatever. But anyhow, Musk did say he's going to stop focusing on that. Number two, Elon says that focusing on autonomy for Optimus Robot and Robotaxi, and Tesla will be the most valuable company in the world by far because not of the car sales, but because of the robots and autonomous driving vehicles. Point three, Musk confirmed Robotaxi Austin rollout is happening in June. In other words, in 2 months from now, Tesla's vehicles will be driving as autonomous robotaxis in Austin, Texas. Don't know if this is actually going to happen, but maybe it will. You never know. This will impact Tesla's earnings, says Musk, starting in 2026. Robotaxi will continue rollout to other cities later this year. Elon believes to have millions of robotaxis in the US by the end of next year. Millions of robotaxis in America by the end of next year. Now, obviously, the only way for that to be possible would be for owners to actually be using their vehicles as robotaxis. And obviously, those vehicles would have to have Tesla's latest hardware 4 generation. Point four, expected Tesla energy output will be terawatts, 25 times today's capacity. So Elon Musk is predicting, and Tesla are predicting, that Tesla's energy division will grow to be at least 10 times the size of their car division. Point five, Elon expects to have regional support for autonomous vehicles such as Northeast regions with heavy snows and China with different driving patterns. I personally think China is years away. China, people don't indicate in China. They don't, to be honest, people don't drive particularly aggressively. Most of them don't, in my experience, but they don't really follow road rules a lot. There's a lot of not following road rules. So that would be a huge challenge. I think we're a long way from China. Point number six, Cybercab production on track to have QA by this year, volume production by 2026. So Cybercab, apparently there's been gigacastings seen of the Cybercab in Tesla's. There's been some drone videos showing gigacastings of the Cybercab. It looks like it might not be far away from actual production. Number seven, Elon believes Tesla Robotaxi will take over the majority of market share, 99%, until something changes because Waymo cannot compete. It's costing Waymo money and 10 million Tesla robotaxis unless blocked by regulators. So Musk is saying there could be 10 million Tesla robotaxis because of people buying Teslas and because of Tesla making them combination. I think that's possible in the future, but not in the short-term future. That's kind of like exaggeration, I'd say. But Waymo, can they continue doing what they're doing, having people look at every car and check every car and monitor every car? It's more expensive than having a taxi. It is. Waymo's operations are, Musk is correct. There's no one, I don't think, arguing with this. I don't think even Waymo would argue with this. It's costing them money. There's no doubt. And it's going to be tricky for Waymo to compete with Tesla. If Tesla can get their cars approved for driving as they are today, or in 6 months' time, or even a year's time, there is no question Waymo can't compete on a dollar for dollar level. It's just not possible. Number 8, Tesla has the most integrated manufacturing, including lithium refineries in Austin. Also talked about the advantages of supply chain regionalization. So because they are vertically integrated, Tesla has a huge advantage. Vertical integration, you can clearly see in effect with how much of Tesla's parts are made in the United States for their cars in America. 85% on average, the parts come from the United States. So that's a huge advantage. I agree. Number 9, he talked about Tesla's cell advantages. Their battery cell advantages, Musk believes that their battery cells are better than the competition. Not sure how accurate that is. I don't know. Number 10, in talking about Tesla brand damage because of Elon Musk Doge and his political comments, etc., he said Tesla is best-selling car in California and the volume is impacted by production disruptions of Model Y refresh. We don't see any disruption in demand. Do you guys agree with that? No disruption in demand. If you look at Europe, I think there has been a disruption in demand. Now, I get where he's coming from. Of course, moving to a new Model Y took time. No doubt Tesla sales were affected by that. No doubt, though, there will be a disruption in demand from Elon Musk, and a lot of people clearly are not buying a Tesla because of him. I think he needs to admit that that's the case. Number 11, impact and plan for magnets limitation from China. So Tesla have a plan on how to deal with issues with getting magnets. Remember, Elon Musk is friends with the president of China, and he really, I'm pretty sure, would be telling China, I've got nothing to do with these tariffs in America. That's not me. That's Trump. That's Joe Biden. I'm not involved in that. I think there's a good chance that, that will help things with Tesla. Next point, 12. Austin early release will have audio ability and solve localized problems. Expected interruption every 10,000 miles. In the beginning, will save human intervention ability. So they're saying the Cybercab, he's saying the full self-driving with a Cybercab, it probably have an interruption every 10,000 miles, as in an intervention will be needed. So that would suggest to me that Tesla is not planning on initially rolling out the Cybercab as in fully autonomous. Drivers will have to supervise it. Maybe that's what he seems to be possibly suggesting. That's a bit confusing, though. Elon said full self-driving will ease restrictions on what you can do in a car in the months ahead. You'll be able to do more things than you want to do. This is a point I love. There's millions of people around the world, probably hundreds of millions, wasting insane amounts of time sitting in their cars driving. And yeah, I mean, the sooner we can get full self-driving, whether it's from Tesla or anyone else, XPeng, anyone else, the better off we will be for production efficiency and our own stress. It's stressful driving. Huge advantages. 14, there's affordable models coming. Affordable vehicles coming. The key is that they will be affordable and that you'll be able to buy one, said Musk. So there's a cheaper version, I believe, of the Model 3, a cheaper version of the Model Y. They've been delayed, though, but there's cheaper cars coming on the way this year. Elon is confident of 1 million Tesla shipments by 2030 or even 2029. And I guess he's referring here to actual robotaxis. So that's kind of a quick summary. Now, looking at the numbers here, guys, the numbers are quite interesting. And by the way, if you want to, I'll answer some questions at the end, or we can have a quick discussion at the end. So stick around for that. But here are the numbers. Tesla reported first quarter revenue of 19.3 billion and earnings per share of 27 cents, both well below Wall Street expectations of 21.3 billion revenue and 41 cents EPS. So the numbers are well below what were expected. Tesla's core business declined by 20% year on year to 14 billion, making its weakest performance since 2021. Net income fell 71% to 410 million compared to 1.4 billion a year earlier. And like I said before, Tesla actually made 400 million in operating profits because of 600 million in regulatory credits. This is Australian dollars, by the way, sorry. Basically, Tesla's profit came purely from regulatory credits. This was Tesla's worst performance since Q2 of 2022, and it's the least profitable quarter since Q1 2021. So this is its worst performance technically in terms of profits for 4 years. That's a long time. Now, how is this going to affect Tesla in the long run? Well, Musk is saying, okay, we're pivoting away from selling cars. We're going to be an artificial intelligence company. And he's just saying that in a way that won't affect the stock too much. But any guys, really, the truth is, if you think about it, this was a 19.6% decline in revenue. That's a pretty big drop. And if you look at Tesla's peak, they peaked at 20 billion in Q3 2024, which was a 30.5% decrease from that high. Now, of course, first quarters of the year traditionally aren't that great. Declining revenue isn't the only thing that could concern shareholders, though, of the EV brand. Tesla's income plummeted by 71%. And that's the issue here, profitability. Tesla needs money to continue to invest, to continue to hire all these people for their artificial intelligence. And the truth is, when it comes to robotaxis and even particularly robots, Tesla got a long way to go. They've got, I'd say, to have a really good robot, I predict 5 years from now. You guys know I'm pretty bullish about all this stuff, but I think 5 years is reasonable. So Tesla does need to continue making money to support moving to these other projects. So obviously, setting up this whole robotaxi division is not going to be free. It's going to cost them billions of dollars. That's the concern, I think. Tesla has blamed its decline in revenue on the obvious drop-off in deliveries during the first quarter. Tesla delivered 336,700 vehicles, down 13% from the year prior. And of course, we know the reasons why. But keep in mind, in the first quarter of last year, we're comparing to those numbers, but Tesla, their factory was shut down for a month in China, for 1 month in the first quarter of last year. So really, these numbers are a pretty significant decline, even considering moving to the new Model Y. Here's what they said. Uncertainty in the automotive and energy markets continues to increase as rapidly evolving trade policy adversely impacts the global supply chain and cost structure of Tesla and our peers. This dynamic, along with changing political sentiment, could have a meaningful impact on demand for our products in the near term. They're admitting that politics around Musk are affecting demand. We remain committed to expanding our business model to include delivering autonomous robots across multiple form factors and use cases powered by our real-world AI expertise to our customers and for use in our factories as we navigate these headwinds. Now, one of the things that people are excited about, Tesla said they are now progressing in their development of the new Tesla Roadster, which they initially announced 7.5 years ago. That's good news, right? People are excited about this new Roadster. Maybe the excitement's worn off a little bit considering how long it's been. But let's be honest, I don't know if Tesla really wants to make the Roadster. Aren't they? They're on the hook to give away, I believe, thousands of Roadsters because of the deal they used to have where if you referred enough people, you get a free Roadster. So there's, I think, thousands of people in line to get a free one. That's going to cost Tesla a lot of money. Anyway, falling revenue and deliveries they don't sound that good, but cheaper Tesla electric cars have a lot of people excited. We don't know a lot of details, but here's what we do know. Tesla says they will utilize aspects of their next generation EV platform as well as aspects of our current platforms. And these cheaper vehicles will be produced on the same manufacturing lines as our current vehicle lineup. Elsewhere, Tesla announced that, like I said, cybercabs are coming this year. So, guys, these are the numbers. These are the results. Tesla stock is up 5.5%, which is surprising. A lot of people are kind of annoyed. A lot of the people who have shorted Tesla stock, thinking that these earnings would be shocking. They shorted the Tesla stock, thinking they're going to make some money. Well, they're losing money as a result of this bump, this 5.5% increase. And what this means is Tesla stock has jumped up above $250. But its price to earnings ratio is still sitting around 110 to 120. It's probably going to be worse as a result of these recent earnings. And there is probably some concern that Tesla's regulatory credits will dry up. They won't continue to make $500, $600 million every quarter from regulatory credits. That's not true, though. Tesla will continue. I've reported on this for 4 years now, and I've consistently been right in my predictions of what Tesla will make, that they'll continue to make money from regulatory credits. I don't see this as necessarily a huge positive, but this is part of the business. This is part of Tesla's business. So what do you guys think about all this? Do you see Tesla growing? Do you see Tesla becoming the most valuable company in the world. I personally think it's possible. I think we're still a while away. I would say there is going to be some issues with Tesla's rollout of their robotaxis. I do see Tesla vehicles are amazingly good. I do believe personally, from my personal experience test driving cars, that Tesla's autonomous driving capacities are the best in the world. Yes, Waymo can do better. Yes, they've got Didi in China that can do using HD maps and LiDAR and having people control the vehicles sometimes. Those vehicles are better, but the truth is that Tesla is actually pretty far ahead of them because of the fact that they don't need all that. They don't need human beings monitoring them. But I still think we're probably a ways off from Tesla rolling out a robotaxi network all over America. I think Tesla are being a bit optimistic. I think that might take probably another 18 months. But if that does happen, then yeah, Tesla stock will go up. It will be higher than what it is at today. How do you guys feel about this? I'll have a quick check and see if you guys are still awake in the United States. You got any questions here? Better put money in Chinese companies. China Tesla registrations were a pathetic barely than NEO. Bernie has said Tesla's registrations were pathetic, barely better than NEO. Actually, Tesla's registrations in China are still pretty good. Tesla's still doing pretty well in China. And I don't think Tesla's going to have any problems in the Chinese market this year, even though there are some incredibly difficult rivals. There's so many models in China available, so many options. But remember, Tesla sells on brand in China. Tesla's brand in China is probably number one in the car market. BYD sells on brand, but also sells on value. So Tesla won't have any problems selling cars in China this year. That's my prediction. I've been there more times than probably you have, Bernie. I probably understand the Chinese market better than you do. I think you're probably reacting emotionally to a short-term thing. So yeah, but Tesla will have issues, no question, with repeating their sales numbers from last year in other places around the world. That's what I think. What else we got here? Elon is always promising the moon and mats. It's always coming. When it doesn't happen, there is a new exciting thing that will make Tesla the most valuable company in the world. Yeah, I mean, you got a point there. Headmaster, you're saying Elon is over promising, under delivering. Yeah, I think you have a point. That is historically what Tesla do. But I've got to make the point as well. Everyone else does the same thing. We often say that about Tesla, and it is true, absolutely true. But General Motors probably are worse than this. General Motors said that they would have 18 different electric cars on the road 4 years ago. That was miles off. Toyota, solid state battery promises since 2014. They promised it almost every year. Nissan, 27 different EV models available this year. Everyone, Xpeng, they're all doing this. They're all over promising and under delivering. I don't think any car company isn't doing that. We just need to remember that. This is pretty common. This is a pretty normal thing in the industry. Even NVIDIA is doing this to some degree. They can't make the batteries in large enough numbers or quickly enough to meet demand. Tesla can't make batteries in large enough numbers or quickly enough to meet demand. Well, yeah, in the United States, Tesla is very well aware, I think, that they need to ramp up battery production. Absolutely. And that's an issue in the US because of the tariffs on Chinese made batteries. The rest of the world is not the case because obviously Tesla uses primarily CATL batteries in the rest of the world. And remember, I understand why America is important to you. You might be from the United States, but Tesla is a global car company. So they will continue to get batteries from CATL and they get them cheaper than anyone else. Tesla definitely gets batteries at a lower price than any other brand in the world because of how many they buy. If you think about it, put Tesla's EVs together, the EV sales outside of America together with their energy storage deployments, they buy more batteries than anyone else in the world by a fairly big margin. No one's close to them. And obviously, BYD use a lot of batteries, but they use their own batteries. So Tesla's the number one battery purchaser in the world. Now, what happens if you jump on AliExpress, Alibaba, whatever, and you want to buy something? If you buy 99, you get a 50% discount. If you buy 1,000, you get an 80% discount. So it's the same thing with batteries. And Tesla's ability to get batteries is not diminished at all outside of America, and they get the cheapest prices outside of America. Now, America's a different story. Challenges with 4680 cells are an issue. I agree with you there. Now, what else we got here? A few crazy comments. Sam is actually keeping it real on the Roadster. Also, most are prepaid. It'll cost them far more than it'll make them. Yeah, guys, my thoughts on the Roadster. Man, I love the look of the Roadster. It looks amazing. The Tesla Roadster, I've always loved the design. Whoever does, I mean, well, we know who designed the Roadster, I should say, Lars Morabi. But I thought it was a design that has aged so well, 7.5 years, and it still looks good. But let's be honest, Tesla's not going to make any money on a Roadster for a couple of years because they've got to deliver all those free ones. And that's why they probably put it off for so long. They're probably trying to find a way to make it cheaper so they can give away cheaper models for all these people who get free ones. Let's be real. But I do want to see it. I'm excited because we need we need these sporty cars, sporty supercars, convertibles, rag tops, whatever you call them in America. We need them. That creates a lot of excitement around electric cars, guys. I'm planning on getting a membership at the racetrack being built here near my house, and I want to test electric cars on this racetrack every week. I'm going to go get a new car every single week, test them on this track, and just to show people, because people don't understand how fast electric cars really are and how sporty they are because of the weight. The weight distribution is perfect. It's on the bottom. It's all on the ground. So electric cars are much better and much sportier than people realize. But there's vehicles like this, like show vehicles like the Roadster, that can kind of give people that idea. Motorsport won't die because of electric cars. If anything, it could become better. Let's have a look. Chinese will definitely buy brand first. Yeah, China does buy on brand. That's true. Tesla losing EV market share and declining numbers in China, Europe, and the US. Not looking good. Yeah, like I said, I think I explained what's going on there. And I do think that Tesla have some awareness that they're losing market share over the first quarter. How much of that market share they've lost from Musk versus just simply not having the new Model Y available, we won't know yet. We'll really know after the next 3 months. I think you're probably making some early claims that we don't really know how true they are. After the next 3 months, we'll have a good indication of what Tesla's demand is sitting at. So at this point in time, I don't know. But as I said earlier, I don't believe Tesla should focus on selling cars. It's a terrible idea. To think about it, it's a race to the bottom. The Chinese car brands are going to take over an immense percentage of the global car market. And what do? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's great for consumers, but what do? They constantly they constantly reduce prices in every market that China takes over. They reduce prices every month, every month. It's blamed on Tesla, which is ridiculous. The truth is, the Chinese EV bloodbath, this is Chinese car brands. This is what they do. They constantly lower prices until what happens, like in the solar industry, there was only really three big companies left. Everyone, well, not everyone, but many companies went bankrupt. And this will continue to happen. It's called a race to the bottom. Why compete in this race to the bottom? It's illogical. Let them have the market. Let these companies fight over it, make losses for however many years. They can have the market. Because really, in 10 years' time from now, when all this is done, all the dust is settled from this, most cars will have to have autonomous driving capacity. That's where the demand will be. Cities. Most of our population lives in cities. Most of our population won't want to have to drive themselves to work. It's a major pain in the ass. So this is forward thinking. It is forward thinking. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Tesla shouldn't want to sell cars as well in the meantime to try and make some money to develop all their other stuff. But I think we need to focus less on car delivery numbers and more on how is Tesla really going with artificial intelligence? Are they really doing what they set out? Is the Optimus Bot on? Is it really going to be sold? Is Tesla's robotaxis, are they really coming? That's what we should really be asking the questions about, not their car deliveries. Probably interchangeable parts than a Honda too. How about a used EV like a 2019 Tesla? All right, guys. What an opportunity right now, right? Used electric cars. The prices are insane. I have some friends calling me up. One is the former manager of Xpeng here in Australia. He's just calling me up. It's like, Sam, have you seen the prices of some of these used EVs? Some of these Teslas in particular, they're such good value. Like, it's never been a better time to buy a used Tesla. Tesla Model 3 Performance is an absolute bargain if you love performance cars. And I've been looking at them thinking, man, it's true. It's true. The Tesla Model 3 Performance, the old version, is still a good car. It's still a really good car. And there's some of them on the market so cheap. I agree with you on that point. People sometimes underestimate how important dreaming is, and Elon is a dreamer. No dream, no product. Johan, dreaming is 100% important. I agree with you. Of course, we've got to kind of differentiate between what is dreaming and what is reality, but I totally agree. I'm a big dreamer. I've always been a dreamer. That's probably why I'm optimistic sometimes. I always dream about the future. I'm always thinking, well, look at this battery technology. Imagine what it's going to be in 10 years. And dreaming is 100% important, I think, to develop products, to come up with to create a better future. We don't dream, nothing happens. I agree with you. Is a used EV a good first EV car? Kathmandu, is a used EV a good first car? 100%. Absolutely. Nissan Leaf, don't buy a Nissan Leaf used, an older model between, say, 2014 to 2021, 2022 even. They may look like a bargain, but that's don't even touch them. Don't go near them. Everything else, pretty well, nearly everything else, absolutely a great idea. 100%. I would be looking at a used EV if you're in that area, that segment. There's some amazing deals, guys. So many people jump onto Facebook. This is what I've got to warn you of. Don't do this. I think this is a massive error. Jumping onto Facebook, I see this every day. Thousands of people are doing this. They're asking questions on Facebook. And the truth is, who do you think has time to answer these questions on Facebook? People saying, should I buy this used EV? Should I buy an Xpeng G6 or the new BYD C Line? They're asking these questions. Oh, which one's sportier? You're simply in an echo chamber asking people who are either sold to one brand or another, or you're asking people who have no idea what they're talking about, and it's just emotion. They're just purely talking from how they feel. How many people that really are achieving things in life have time to sit on Facebook and answer these questions every day? They don't. You're not going to get the right answers. So, guys, if you really got a good genuine question and you really, really, really need to ask the question, send me an email and I'll answer the question for you, because I think people are being misled constantly on social media. It's a major problem, being misled by nonsense. It's just so much nonsense on social media. I personally have to take a step back from it. It's hard to read some of it. But my point is, don't ask a question on some social media group, particularly for that brand. People are doing this every day, thousands of times on a brand, jumping on a BYD forum or an Xpeng forum or a Tesla forum. Should I buy this car compared to a BYD? Well, everyone in this group is from Tesla. Everyone in this group is from BYD. What a dumb question to ask. So just be careful the questions you ask and where you ask them, because you're going to get an answer that's probably not what you're after, or probably going to mislead you. This looks censored as chat already, by the way. Censored. Nothing censored here. Guys, please don't talk crap, mate. Censored? When have I ever been censored? I'm not censored. What the hell are you talking about? Anyway, why lithium is always going down. Why is lithium going down? Okay, very good. This is actually one of the best questions I've seen in a long time. Why is the price of lithium going down? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One of them is more lithium is being found. Remember when Toyota said a few years back there was only enough lithium in the world for every car to have a 1 kilowatt hour battery, basically the size of a bicycle battery, an e-bike battery. Toyota was obviously just talking out of their buttholes. It was completely untrue. There was more than enough lithium to make every car electric. That's how much lithium we have. More lithium is being discovered every week. More is being extracted. More mines are being set up. And obviously, we're also coming up with new battery technologies that don't even need lithium. Iron flow batteries, there's gravity batteries, there's sodium ion batteries. The market is also pricing in, I think, a lot of experts believe that a lot of the market will move away from lithium. Not all of it, but a lot of it will, and it will go into sodium. And if you look at my video on the channel right now, talking about sodium batteries, the new sodium battery from CATL, keep in mind, CATL are the biggest battery company in the world. Their new sodium battery is unbelievable. It trumps lithium in every area, I think, except one, which is energy density. But even then, the energy density of sodium batteries has been a problem. It's been about 130, 140 watt hours per kilogram. It's now jumped to 175. That means it has a higher energy density than the blade battery, the existing BYD blade battery. But it has some huge advantages. In the cold, I'm talking like Mount Everest temperatures, is almost barely affected. It only has a 9% degradation in the cold. There's no lithium battery in the world that can handle that. Huge advantages that these sodium batteries have. They also don't have any lithium, no cobalt, no phosphate needed. That's really probably going to be part of the reason why the market is pricing in demand that will go up in the short term from lithium, but in the long term could go down. In addition, like I said, more lithium refineries are emerging, more lithium mines being discovered, more deposits being discovered, and that's what's happening. There's more lithium available. Sandy Munro. Oh, guys, I speaking of someone talked about Sandy Munro. They watched Sandy Munro. I highly recommend Sandy Munro. And like me, Sandy Munro does get criticized from some areas, but he is one of the most intelligent people in the industry. He's telling me he's approaching Xpeng. He wants to interview potentially the CEO of Xpeng. And I'm hoping to get an interview. We're looking at lining one up in about 2 weeks with Sandy Munro. So if you guys have any questions that you'd like me to ask him, send me an email, contact at theelectricviking.com, and I'll run some questions by Sandy. As you guys know, I've many times I have a lot of respect for him and what he's doing in the industry. I mean, no one else is really doing what he's doing, tearing down the cars piece by piece, comparing them all. So that level of expertise is just unreal. You don't make the Mag 7 if there were no tariffs, we would all be driving Chinese EVs. Tesla is so far behind; they are dying quickly. If there were no tariffs, okay, guys, I need to make a distinction here. Some people think I'm that Tesla, the Chinese government and Chinese car companies are paying for my existence, whatever. Obviously, if that were true, I wouldn't be about to tell you this. Tesla is not behind Chinese car companies in the most crucial area. In fact, they're ahead of them. This is a fact. You can argue with this all you want, but it's true. Tesla, in terms of software, is unquestionably ahead of every other car maker. No one is at their level. There's no question. You need to go to China. People making these claims that Chinese cars are so far ahead. Yeah, they are ahead in terms of some other factors like charging speed, building cars with 800-volt electrical platforms, being able to have 1,000 kilowatt charging, 900 kilowatt charging. Those areas, they are ahead. No question. That is a fact. Even motor power. Look at BYD's brand new motors can spin at 24,000 RPM. Crazy. But when it comes to the software, when it comes to full self-driving, when it comes to that entire ecosystem, Tesla is undoubtedly ahead by a significant margin. So, wow, I've just lost all my contracts with the Chinese government and all the Chinese car companies. They're gonna unsubscribe from me now, and I'll never be allowed back in China. As you can see, guys, I try to speak as objectively as possible, and I'm telling you the truth. That's a fact. So, in terms of hardware, yeah, they're definitely ahead of China. But realistically, if Tesla wanted to, they could make cars with 800-volt platforms. Just go and ask CATL sake. They'll build you platforms. They'll make you an 800-volt platform. No, you can get one today. Guys, any of you commenters, any of you watching, if you wanted to go buy an 800-volt platform, make your own car, you could just contract manufacture it really easily. That's what half of the automotive industry are doing now. Honda, Nissan, Toyota, even some Chinese car companies, that's what they're doing. Contract manufacturing, you can get all this stuff. It's not hard to get. The software is the difficult part. I bought an MG4 electric in my country, but it's front-wheel drive. When I look online, I'm only seeing rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. MG4, you bought a front-wheel drive MG4. Stan says he bought a front-wheel drive. Stan, where are you from? Um, Stan, I have never ever heard of a front-wheel drive MG4. I'm kind of confused here. Maybe it's a different MG model, and MG have rebranded it because I don't think MG would have made a front-wheel drive. Excuse me, I'm burping here. I don't think MG made a front-wheel drive version of the MG4. I'm baffled by that. When I get off this video, I will look that up because I've never heard of a front-wheel drive MG4. Sorry, mate. Um, FSD is kind of wicked. Took it to the grocery, no interventions earlier. Hardware 4 in that vehicle. FS full self-driving is ridiculously good. It's insanely good. You have to say, I think Tesla, their stock price could go up because I believe it will be at some license somewhere in America this year to have vehicles driving on the roads. And I think what will happen is it won't be long before Tesla can say, okay, look in Austin, look at this data. It's less likely you'll be in an accident if you're in a car that's driving itself. It's safer than a human. It doesn't get drunk. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't get distracted. It doesn't have children in the back seat yelling and yapping on. It doesn't have all these problems. It doesn't have the sun looking in your face. So I think there will be a massive, massive sort of avalanche happen once Tesla has that data and it can show that data to every other state in America. Say, look, it's much safer. I think other states will approve it. It'll be a long time for other countries, though. It'll happen, but it'll be a long time. We're talking years, I think. But in the United States, yeah, I think it's going to happen fairly quickly. It is that good. It is amazingly good. Yeah. Who stops China from just copying the finished full self-driving software and using it? Shannon K says, who stops China from copying the finished full self-driving software and using it? That's a very good question. Could China copy it? Companies have tried to do that. They've done that in the past. I'm not going to talk about who because you guys know. Well, not a company, but an individual working for Tesla stole their full self-driving software and went to China and sold it. But is this something companies could do? Could they simply use Tesla's full self-driving software? I think Tesla's thought long and hard about how to prevent this because they're aware that this could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I actually think from testing cars in China, I don't think China is anywhere near Tesla's full self-driving ability. Nowhere near. Not even remotely close. We're seeing a lot of news articles recently saying that they are, but it's not the case. It's vehicles driving around. I've seen them driving around, and you've probably seen them driving around with these lidars on the top, massive installations on the top, like huge things that look like a spaceship. It's kind of, and even those vehicles are not as good as what China tells you. Sorry, China, but this is true. I saw a couple of them in China driving and I followed them. They were crap. They were stopping for no reason, like braking it, nothing. They weren't as good. I think the reason China has put regulations on full self-driving software and all this stuff within the last week is because it's not as good as people say. It's not. Will it be good? Absolutely. It's going to get good. I think Xpeng's going to develop it. They're going to do really well, but they're a fair way behind. So could the Chinese therefore say, well, it's easier to steal it? I think maybe. Will they do it? I don't know. I don't know, but I think Tesla's probably thought about this. And I'd say they've got some really intelligent people working on how to prevent this from happening. We'll see, though. I don't know. What do you guys think? Any car that's computer controlled and is connected to the internet is hackable. David Nika, any car that's computer controlled and is connected to the internet. So what this means is you're driving along, you and millions of people are driving along in their full self-driven cars. Could they be hacked like in iRobot? You know the movie iRobot with Will Smith and all the cars and everything's hacked and everything's goes crazy. I mean, hey, maybe. I think it's possible. That's kind of scary. I mean, imagine if that did happen. We'd all be screwed. We'd all be dead. I hope it doesn't. I hope that the future is more positive than that. So, I mean, it's possible. How does the Xpeng boot compare to the Teslas? Does the lack of a frunk bother you? I've never used the frunk in an EV. I think that they are a gimmick. I don't think anyone I know uses a frunk other than to store like little things. They're not big enough. Not a gimmick in a bigger vehicle like a Ford F-150 or the Cybertruck frunk is not bad, but the F-150 frunk is enormous. In those vehicles, they're practical, but in an average car, I don't think most people use a frunk. I really don't. I think they use the boot. Boot space. The boot space in the G6 is, I would say, 10% smaller than a Tesla Model Y, about 10% smaller. But the back seat is bigger. So you got to make that. You got to make the decision. If you've got kids or friends who are, 6 foot and above, the Xpeng G6 rear seat is the better option, right? But if you just want to store more stuff, the Model Y has about 10% more storage space in the boot. I hope that answers the question. His sound has died here. Has it? I hope my sound hasn't died. Guy says my sound died. Let me know in the comments if my sound has died. I hope that's not the case. The biggest advantage for Tesla is the cross dynamic with all of Elon's other companies. In the end, 100 miles under Las Vegas, Boring Company, one example. Cross dynamic between Boring Company, SpaceX, Neuralink. I don't see that as a huge advantage today. Today, I don't, but I think in the long term, it will be. I think if you're looking into the future, 10 years from now, yeah, I think that's pretty scary. And I have posted a video, guys, saying that Elon Musk could become God, like basically the kind of not God in reality, but in terms of being the most powerful person in the history of mankind. That could be a bit of a concern. I mean, he is very intelligent, but the stuff he tweets, a lot of the stuff does show a lack of self-control, I think, to be tweeting some of the stuff he tweets. So it is a concern. I understand where people are coming from. And I know why people love Elon Musk, why they don't love Elon Musk. There's lots of different levels of that. I'm not in either party. I don't love him. I don't hate him. I see pros and cons. And Musk being able to have that ability to control these companies, some of the biggest companies in the world, and having potentially the best software capacity, it is something that could happen in 20, 30 years down the line, but Musk might be dead by then. I mean, he works like crazy. And remember, sleeping 4 hours a night or no hours a night takes time off your life. I don't think he's going to live that long, to be honest. But if you've got all that money, maybe you can pay for the best stuff to keep you alive. So that's possible. I can hear you just fine. Okay, thanks guys for telling me you can still hear me. That's good to hear. I use my Tesla Frunk all the time, especially with takeaway or anything with liquid. I don't want spilling. Thanks for your advocacy work, audio working here. Good to hear you use a Tesla Frunk. I think that's probably something that some users get used to, and it would make sense with takeaway. That's actually a good point. Um, Maybe I should go and buy one of those. You can get an Xpeng little frunk tray you can put in there to make it have a frunk. That's maybe a good idea. Some people do buy them. I think you can get them for about $150 to turn your Xpeng into having a frunk. Maybe I should do that. So good point. Who trusts Elon to put chips in their head? Orion Investing said, who trusts Elon to put Neuralink chips in their head? Guys, this is called the singularity. And I initially called this channel, for those of you who don't know, I called it the Electric Singularity, not the Electric Viking, because I see the singularity as something that's going to transform the planet. And it will happen. We will, not we, but some of us will have Neuralink chips or whatever brand chips in our head. We will merge with artificial intelligence, creating a superhuman race. Ray Kurzweil predicts this will happen. Most things he's predicted have happened. Most people believe that the singularity is near and it's coming, and that whether you choose to do it or not doesn't matter because someone else will, and they'll have an enormous advantage over you. Instant recall. Merging human intelligence with artificial intelligence will happen. It's very scary. It's a brave new world. I don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell you one thing I do know. GDP will balloon. So this year, what's GDP going to go up by? It might go up by, say, 2% worldwide. Well, when we merge, when we have artificial intelligence merging with humans, and when we crack artificial general intelligence, crazy things are going to happen. And I don't know what they are, but I do know one thing will happen, and that is that GDP will skyrocket. The world GDP won't go up by 2%. It'll go up by 1,000% in a year. It'll be insane. Productivity will soar. And the biggest benefit I see is that I think we will end extreme poverty, potentially even end poverty, period, worldwide, because of this explosion in GDP, explosion in productivity globally. That's one of the pros. There are some negatives. There could be crazy things happen. There could be people that have the ability to do bad things, doing very bad things, robots doing bad things. We have no idea in the long term what will happen. It's definitely an interesting topic. Just paid $500 for my 40,000 kilometer ATO 3 service. What's the service cost on your G6 like? I don't know. I've only driven 10,000 kilometers, so I haven't done a service, but $500 for an EV service, I don't like that. As you guys know, I did buy a BYD ATO 3 a few years ago. It's a good car. But I don't like BYD's servicing costs. I don't like anyone's servicing costs on electric cars. They're a joke. They're an absolute joke. It's a 90% markup. They wouldn't have cost them any more than $50 to just look over the car. I think that's a joke. I'm not a fan of that at all. BYD, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of BYD for sure, but I'm not a fan of BYD charging you $500 for your first service. It shouldn't be more than $100. And no, it shouldn't be for anyone. No one should be charging that amount of money for a first service. On your question though, what does Xpeng charge for a first service? I think your first service is free at this point. I think it's free for the Xpeng brand at the moment. In the future, it probably won't be when they're more established and have more models for sale. Audio good. Thanks, guys. You trust people put chips in your brain. It's called control. Oh my God. No, I never said that I trusted anyone to put a chip in my brain. I'm not sure what you're saying there, my friend. Where do you see Neo going? That's a good question. Neo. Yeah, great question. Today, I just did a video this morning. Neo's new Firefly, that new little electric hatchback, they have just announced that's going to be their first global car, first ever. They're going to make it in right-hand drive for Australia and Thailand and Malaysia and Japan and the United Kingdom and other New Zealand. Right-hand drive. They said it's going to come to 60 countries. So that's their first EV intended for global production. But it's very expensive. It's 20,000 US dollars. There's nothing in China that's that price that has those specifications and is that small. People say I'm a Neo hater, and it's like it doesn't matter if I point out all the logic of what I'm saying. They still say I'm a Neo hater. I can't do anything about that. The truth is, I don't see how they're going to compete with that car costing so much money. It's 20,000 US dollars in China. It's going to be probably $40,000 in Australia. It's smaller than a BYD, smaller than a BYD Dolphin. They're just too expensive. They're just not competitive. The range is shorter than their rivals. It's not. That's not a. Not that car is not competitive. They would have to sell it at a lower price than what they've priced it for in China compared to its rivals. Now that's their first global car, so I don't see that being a success unless they're able to produce them. But I personally think that NIO will eventually run out of money within the next 5 or 6 years. They're burning through cash like faster than anyone else in China. And I think NIO's long-term future is under a dark cloud. I do think investors will keep jumping on the bandwagon, pouring more money into the company to keep them alive. And as you know, NIO keeps on doing funding raises every year in order to get more cash, to burn more cash. But I think eventually that will run out. And they might merge with another company to become successful. But the only way I see NIO succeeding is if they fire the CEO. Hopefully China doesn't put me in jail when I go there next for saying this. They've got to fire him. He's a spender. There's two different kinds of people, right? There's spenders and there's non-spenders, but he's the extreme spender, just spend like crazy. And I don't see that being a situation that can continue. They're focusing too much on battery swapping. And battery swapping is not going to work. It's not going to work because batteries are getting better. Think about the average electric car 10 years ago. What was the range of the average electric car? What, 200, 300 kilometers? In 10 years from now, it'll be 800 kilometers. Why would you need to swap your battery? You don't. They've invested billions into battery swapping. It's been a waste of money. It's not going to work for NIO. But would I take a NIO car? Yeah, they make some good cars. Great cars. So NIO, credit to you guys. You make some great cars. To the company, though, I wouldn't be investing, put it that way. Tesla should make cheaper homes. Yeah, cheaper homes, that could be good. Aptera will ever come to fruition. Guys, do I think Aptera will come to fruition? James asked that question. As you guys know, I've been to the factory in it was like halfway between Los Angeles and San Diego. So I visited the factory. I visited the CEO. The CEO is such a nice guy. I have a lot of respect for him. I did an interview with him, and my audio didn't work. It got ruined, which sucks. I loved talking to him. So maybe I'm a little biased, but I think that the Aptera vehicle is brilliant. And the solar that they've developed I believe they've developed the best solar panels to put on a car. They've had hundreds of iterations of solar design, and they developed basically their own solar panels that are unique for cars. And so now they're selling those, I believe, to another car manufacturer. I think that'll be a part of the company, Aptera, selling their technology to other brands. Now, remember, the latest Aptera model is also a carbon mold. It's an entire one-piece carbon mold. It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it used in the automotive industry. Now, they do use these in the automotive industry for supercars, these big one-piece carbon molds, but no one is doing it in the way Aptera is doing it for cars. And it would reduce the weight of your car by probably 600 pounds if you could make an EV or make a normal car using Aptera's similar system that they use for the Aptera for their vehicle. Massive weight reduction and structural rigidity would improve. Carbon fiber is more structurally rigid than aluminium and steel, and it can be repaired relatively easy as well. So the company has some amazing technology. Their ability for their car to just drive out of the factory, and as soon as it sees the sun, to be sucking the sunlight in while you're driving is amazing. So I see Aptera potentially working with some OEMs to get this kind of technology into the mainstream market. I don't know if their car will work. Yeah, I think it might not. I think that it's the quadricycle concept would be hard to catch on. It's going to be a niche product. I love it. I've ordered one. I love it. If I can get it, I'll get it. I mean, if they get one to me in Australia, I'd be stoked. But I think it's going to be a niche product. I think it's going to become mainstream, and they won't be able to sell enough of them, in my opinion, to kind of stick around on just that car alone. But if they can get contracts with OEMs, other manufacturers for their solar tech, which is amazing, and to help them work on some of their other R&D with their carbon tubs, I think this is potentially a future for them. I hope it works because I really like them. Indian government has declined entry to BYD and all other EV brands. Berlin, or I'm guessing I say Berlin. Indian government has declined entry to BYD and all other EV brands. Yeah, the Indian government, I don't like them. I don't like them. I don't know if they're going to block me if I try and go there for saying that, but I don't like them. I don't like the fact that they do this. We talk about Trump, having these policies to try and make things made in America, and obviously India has the same thing, but India is a bit more extreme with it. And it's hurting. It's hurting India. They did a ban on computers and iPads from China. That's just going to hurt students and hurt kids from getting good products. Banning electric cars, BYD, and banning Chinese products. I get why they do it. I just don't think it's a good idea, and it's not good for the population. Yeah, there's a lot of corrupt. Let's be honest, guys. There's a huge amount of corruption in India. It's massive. It's endemic. There's a lot of not corruption. There's a lot of great companies that are doing fantastic things, but unfortunately, there's also the other side, the dark side there. I really do feel disappointed. Let's be honest, guys. Probably most of you are not from India, so you're lucky. You're lucky. I mean, the truth is, being born in India it wouldn't be great. It wouldn't be great, and it sucks that they're not allowing electric car technology from China because that would help them. Because remember, hundreds of thousands of people are dying in India from pollution. Yes, not just car pollution, but car pollution plays a part. It definitely plays a part. Smog in Indian cities is shocking. You don't want to live there. It's killing. It's going to be giving you cancer slowly but surely. Eventually, you're going to get sick from it in some way or other. It's terrible. So India should be embracing electric car technology to the best of their capacity. They don't have a big EV industry. It's very small. The only way that they can do it is invite the Chinese in, have some joint venture partnerships with them like China did. But of course, they're too concerned about blocking anyone else. Yeah, I think it's a bad move. The car will work. Indian government has declined entry to BYD. A buddy from India once said that in his village, owning a car was an amazing dream. This was 2 generations ago almost. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Amazing dream. I hope that eventually that will change, and I think it will. With general artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence, I think production will change, costs will come down, and will eventually improve the lives of people in India. I hope it does. It sort of partly depends on the government as well, doesn't it? Could you do a vehicle video on electric semi trucks? Yes, I will do a video. I've been talking for too long. I will do a video on electric semi trucks. That's an interesting issue. Guys, on that note, today Huawei announced 1.5 megawatt chargers in China, which would be perfect for electric trucks. So there's now numerous companies in China with charging of 1 megawatt and above. I think it's 1.1 for Zeekr's new one, Geely's new, BYD at 1 megawatt. There's numerous companies, like I said, over that, between 1 to 1.5 megawatt charging, perfect for trucks. The future of the trucking industry is certainly not combustion. And they're going to save billions of dollars being able to use electric trucks. It's not hydrogen. Make no mistake about that. There's no way hydrogen trucks will work in the long run. They're just simply not economically feasible. Hydrogen is ridiculously expensive. It's never going to take off. So if you're invested in that area, get out of it. Is this your first live video, Connor? Connor asked, this is my first live video. In 4 years since I started the channel, it's actually almost exactly 4 years today. I've done about 20 live videos, about 20. Yeah. What is the ICE EV ratio in Australia? It's about 90 to 10. So the sales in Australia, about 9% EV, about 91% internal combustion. We do have a population. I think there's a lot of low education here in Australia. I know it's going to be shocking to some Australians, but my perception, especially after seeing what the result was of the Spotlight program on Channel 7, where they said electric cars were the devil and nickel was killing everyone. And my perception on the way a lot of Australians reacted to that is there's a lot of low education here in Australia, and a lot of people are fighting against EVs here in Australia. There's a lot of that coming from the media, coming from potentially Toyota sponsoring certain companies, oil companies sponsoring certain businesses, etc. The media is the people who own the media are heavily invested in fossil fuels, and a lot of that is preventing Australians from buying an electric car, being brainwashed by negative information. I think the EV transition would be much faster if it wasn't for that. But over the next few years, we're going to see hundreds of models of EVs coming to Australia, and it'll increase very, very quickly. We're going to see, my prediction, Australian car market will be 60% electric by 2030. 60%. So let's see if that happens. What do you guys think? I find it amusing the Democrats have caused a small bump in pricing downward. Great time to buy stock. I'm guessing you're referring to Tesla. So Tesla's stock price is, I guess, yeah, it is down. I mean, what was it at 480 US dollars a few months ago? Well, not a few months ago, but not that long ago. Is it worth buying Tesla stock? Now, that's a good question. I've been weighing this up. Is it worth buying Tesla stock? I'm kind of split. I actually think in the long term, if you're looking at the company over the next 5 years, yes. In the short term, I think in the short term, Tesla stock price could fall further. I think it could fall below 200 US dollars. So that's what I've been looking at. When does it go fall below 200? That's your chance. Jump on it then. But in the long term, I think Tesla stock will hit probably in 5 years' time. My guess in 5 years' time would be they might be seeing at about 800 US dollars. That's my guess. Maybe higher than that, potentially over 1,000. But I don't know. That's just a guess. Investment motivated internal combustion engine ideology. Yeah, I agree. What's the price of the new G6 coming to Australia end of the year? Andrew WK wants to know what the price is of the new G6 coming to Australia at the end of the year. Well, the answer to that question is not even XPeng would know. Not even XPeng would know. Not even XPeng in Australia would know. They haven't, as far as I know, they haven't actually got those numbers yet. It would depend on things like what's the cost of shipping at that point in time, what's demand like for the company, what is the cost of those. These, keep in mind, the new G6 will be more expensive for XPeng to manufacture. It will, because they're using new batteries. I haven't talked about this, and maybe I'm not meant to talk about it as well. But the new battery is the bottleneck. So, guys, the new XPeng G7, they've paused that. You can't buy that because they can't get enough of these new batteries from the battery supplier, which enabled super fast charging, 500 to 600 kilowatt fast charging. So the XPeng G6, as a result, I think it will cost a little bit more to manufacture, but I still don't think the price will be much different. My guess would be it might be about 2 to 5% more expensive. That's my guess, but no one really knows yet. Sam just strikes as the kind of human who, if they changed their opinion tomorrow based on better data models, perceptions, would just say, F off, this is how I now see it. Yeah, actually, that's true, kind of. I've changed my mind hundreds of times. And if you're not capable of changing your mind based on new information, then I think you're kind of hurting yourself and you can't adapt. My diet, my workout regimes, that has changed enormously. My nutrition, I've adapted constantly. And I've said to people, well, this is what I eat. People, I say, how do you train? What do you eat? How do you get this physique? When you're an old guy, I'm 43. I've got kids. I don't get enough sleep. How do you do this? How do you adapt to this? And I tell them, and then new information comes out. And I go, well, keto is not the right diet anymore. We have new information saying actually intermittent fasting. I've changed my mind on that. I've changed my mind on a lot of things, many times. And if you're not capable of changing your mind, then you can't learn and grow. So you have to be able to do that. So I hope that people think that's the case, because it's a fundamental part of my personal belief system. Should I buy CATL, BYD, Xiaoping stock and recommend some other Chinese stocks in renewable energy? Should I buy those BYD, CATL, and XPeng stock? Yeah. Well, I can't give you an answer for that 100%. I could probably say to you, would I buy Xiaomi, CATL, and XPeng stock? And I did in the past buy those. It's difficult, though, to buy CATL. When I tried to invest in CATL years ago, you couldn't purchase CATL unless you were a Chinese citizen. That might have changed now. I don't even know. I've got to look that up. If it has changed, would I buy CATL stock? Yes, I would. I believe that half of the world's battery companies will cease to exist in 10 years' time. They'll go bankrupt because they have a monopoly. The Chinese government has even said that CATL have a monopoly on batteries. I mean, Yeah, they have a monopoly, so they'll take more market share. Look at their latest 3 batteries. How does anyone compete with, CATL's new sodium battery? It'll cost them 30% less to make it than lithium iron phosphate, and it's just as good, in some ways better. Would I buy in CATL? I would. BYD and XPeng, if the stock goes down because of some ridiculous market sentiment, people get emotional and everything goes down, that could be your opportunity to buy into BYD or XPeng. That's what my recommendation is. I hope that makes sense. CATL though, yeah, I'm convinced that that company will bankrupt half the industry, take market share, and it will be continue to be the dominant player. And think about it: when every vehicle, when every truck, when every machine in the world is made and has a battery in it, and when all the world is using solar and batteries, well, 90% of it will be for their energy production. CATL will be making billions of dollars as they are today. So yes. Should I buy? Yeah, do you know if the Zika 001 will reach Australia? There must be some decent demand here. Zika 001, no, Zika have no plans to make the Zika 001 in right-hand drive. They have considered it. Now, this would change if like 5,000 people emailed Zika and said, hey, I'm in Australia, I'm in the UK, I'm in Thailand, I'm in New Zealand. I want the 001. If they got a massive influx of emails from all these people who wanted the 001, they would probably do it. That's how they respond. These companies in China, they respond to market demand. And if market sentiment is saying, we want that car, they'd do it. But I think they just haven't got enough of that perception. It's worth making those vehicles in right hand drive. It costs a lot of money to make a car in right hand drive. Have a separate production line. It's expensive. The retort, it's expensive. But like I said, if there's enough interest, they would do it. And I love the Zika 001 as well. It's one of my favorite cars. They're awesome. The Chinese government was very smart to support battery technology. Some pushed that same thing in America to at a timely point. Humans don't always optimize. Someone just said I need to organize raiding parties. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, the Chinese were very smart to push, weren't they? They really thought of this in advance. They didn't just. It's not just batteries that they pushed. They pushed electric cars. They pushed solar in particular, battery energy storage, wind technology, renewable energy. Where where would we be without China doing that? I mean, the world would be very different, wouldn't it? So it was incredible foresight that they did that because they had to invest a ridiculous amount of money into batteries, into electric cars. Hundreds of billions of dollars have gone into it, maybe more than that. And it started probably 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Incredible foresight, and kudos to them for doing that. I mean, there's some things about them I don't like for sure. I got to use a VPN when I was in China. That's a pain in the ass. I don't like that. You shouldn't be doing blocking off YouTube, blocking off, just general platforms. Blocking them is crazy. But on the other side, a slightly benevolent dictatorship can have its positives. It's got negatives and positives. Having a, some might say not benevolent, some might say a benevolent dictatorship. Dudes at my gym, remember you regular out there, said you often with a, uh, yeah, not sure you're talking about that, mate. China was amazing on the government thing. Dudes, some other Chinese stock in renewable energy. I can't recommend another Chinese stock in renewable energy at this point. I'm not sure. I haven't probably looked at the market enough to know for sure what I should recommend you in renewable energy stocks. Of course, there are some solar panel manufacturers worldwide that are incredibly successful. There's 3 big ones. You guys know which solar panels I've used for my roof, and I have a new video coming on that solar system, coming on my solar system on the actual panels that I've used because they've got new panels. And these new panels work in the shade incredibly well. So if the shade is covering half of that panel, the other half of the panel still works. This is the first time we've seen this in the industry, and they will be incredible. It'll make a huge, huge difference because hundreds of millions of homes have partial shading or full shading at parts of the day. So the solar systems barely work. They don't work very well. This will change that enormously. So I'll talk about that in a separate video. Guys, I'm going to sign off now. Thank you for watching, for your support, for your questions. Sorry I couldn't answer all of them. Guys, I hope you have a phenomenal week. Remember, stay positive. I know there's a lot of negative news out there right now. There's a lot of sensationalism. The media is creating a lot of clickbait. Try to stay out of that as much as you can. Stay positive. Things are getting better. Love you all and have a great day. Bye bye.